Joining me on the program now, Director of the Integrity Institute and political commentator, Dr. Bryce Edwards. Bryce, kia ora, thank you so much for your time today.
Morena, Andrew.
This is certainly a sad and a heartbreaking situation with an MP relatively young, just 50 years of age, had been battling kidney disease for a period of time, was at Parliament the day before and then tragically passing away. Certainly difficult circumstances and, difficult to watch actually in Parliament yesterday, the outpouring of grief from many different MPs.
Yes, look, this is a very sad moment. Tākutai Tarsh Kemp, or more affectionately known as Tarsh Kemp. This was a shock to everyone. It was well known that she was battling health problems. Back a year ago, in July last year, she took 6 weeks leave and announced that she had kidney disease. She's been getting kidney dialysis, since then. She's I think, on the waiting list to get a kidney transplant. It was a surprise to everyone, really. And, yes, she was in Parliament this week. She had been speaking in Parliament earlier in the week. She'd been in select committees the day the day before she died. She went back to Auckland, on Wednesday night. According to people from her party, she'd gone to bed with her dialysis machine, and it sounds like she died in her sleep. So there was no signs that this was coming. So it's a tragic end, but not totally a shock, given that she had those health problems. But it's always a big deal when any sitting politician dies. And of course, we had the very sad death last year, back in 2024, of Fiso Collins, the Green List MP. And of course, previously there's been people like Rod Donald, who's died in office back in 2005, another Green List MP. But we don't really have a big history of them. There's been a few big names that have died in the past. Party leaders such as Norm Kirk died in office while being Prime Minister. I think William Ferguson died in the 1930s, was it? And of course, Michael Joseph Savage died in office too when he was Prime Minister in the first Labour government. And of course, for List MPs, it's pretty straightforward. The next person just takes their place in Parliament, but Tarsh Kemp was actually an electorate MP, so there will be a by-election.
Now, of course, first-time MP, but in a relatively short time certainly has made an impact, although she was making an impact long before she came an MP with her work, particularly amongst young people in South Auckland, her connection to the Manurewa marae. She has been a wahine toa within Māoridom, particularly urban Māori in South Auckland for many years now.
Oh, indeed. And so she led a life that was very much immersed in the marae. She was brought up on one in South Taranaki, and was very much part of the Ratana Church. So that was her faith. She was a devout Ratana Church member. She is involved in lots of community parts. That was part of her job, essentially. After studying at the University of Auckland, she ended up doing a number of community programs, running them. Was very involved in dance, hip hop dance, and involved with youth. And in 2021, she received an Order of Merit award for her services to youth and dance. And of course, she ran the South Auckland marae that actually was controversial because, of course, she was running that marae at the same time as she ran for Parliament, and she caused that big upset by winning in 2023 in Tamaki Makaurau. Kind of, I don't know about against the odds, but it was quite a big upset to to defeat the Labour MP who had held that seat for 9 years,
Mm.
Penny Hanare, and to win by just 42 votes after a recount. So yeah, a big figure there. But I mean, she's definitely left a legacy, and she's contributed a lot, I think, to Parliament and to Te Pāti Māori. But she was a bit different from some of those other MPs
Mm.
because she was much quieter,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you'd say humble, but certainly she had a very different tone and style to some of the more rambunctious MPs, and seems to have been very well regarded across the Parliament.
Mm.
And so I think there's a real sadness, not just from her party, but from other parties, and especially some of those people in the Labour Party who've worked closely with her over the years.
Just wanted to talk about that because, I mean, yes, the part of her story will be the controversy, and it's not the time to get into the details of that now. But given what a closely fought race the Tamaki Makaurau electorate was, and Pene Henare, of course, losing by just a few votes, but getting in on the list, you would think that there would be an animosity between them, actually, a rivalry. But these two, and it became clear, particularly in Pene Henare's address yesterday, not a dry eye in the House, literally, as he talked about the close working relationship, the respect that he had for her, a real closeness there, and a huge response from Parliament to his message.
Yes, we don't normally see that side of parliamentary relationships, and to some degree, they need to sort of, I don't know, play up their differences
Yeah.
and show confrontation. And I'd always thought that Pene Hanare must have some pretty big beef with having lost that seat, and he thought that it hadn't been a clean fight.
Mm.
So you can imagine that he might easily harbour some bitterness. But no, you've seen very clearly the relationship between those two was actually very strong.
Yep.
They called each other brother and sister, and they worked closely in South Auckland. And I think there was a number of others in the Labour Party that, were very close to her and are visibly upset by her decline and demise.
Not just the Labour Party, of course, traditional allies of Te Pāti Māori, but even the opposite side of the House, acting Prime Minister David Seymour, and also Shane Jones, who has been very critical of Te Pāti Māori and some of its policies, even in this last week or so. Genuine responses from all members of the party, all members of Parliament, I should say, from different parties. In terms of the response that has happened, and then the decision to say, you know what, we're putting flags at half-mast, we're suspending Parliament for the rest of the week. Is this just standard protocol in tragic situations like this?
I think it's appropriate protocol. Yes, Parliament resumed yesterday as it was supposed to in the afternoon, and they had their remembrance, and they gave the speeches about her, and it was all, it was quite touching.
Yeah.
And then they paused proceedings early out of respect for the departed, and they now go into a recess for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see Parliament for until the middle of next month. And I mean, obviously, this is a terrible thing to have happened, but maybe one of the good things to come out of it is just a reminder to all of us, but parliamentarians as well, about about life and about our opponents, and debate, and it maybe will bring a bit more harmony and goodwill as we're seeing from those responses.
Now, also what happens from here, not a list MP, of course, so this will involve a by-election, and of course, Māori roles will have significant influence on this as well. I mean, there's also been a bit of controversy around the Māori roles this week, which we won't get into on this occasion, but talk us through the procedure of what happens next, and do we know dates on this one, Bryce? How's it unfolding?
Well, there are some, legal ways that this has to unfold. The Speaker of the House, Jerry Brownlee, must formally notify that there's been a vacancy, and that gets published in something called the New Zealand Gazette, which is basically online and
Yeah.
in hard copy, all the things that happen in the Parliament. And then it's handed over essentially to the Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, who gets to decide when the date of the by-election should be, and they will do that on the advice of officials. Then the Governor-General has to direct the Electoral Commission, if you like, to conduct that by-election, but that has to happen within 21 days
Okay.
of Jerry Brownlee putting that notification out there. So it happens quite quickly. So it will be in July that the by-election occurs, and it will be a fascinating by-election, I have to say, because this is a seat that has been quite unstable. It's gone backwards and forwards between Labour and Te Pāti Māori.
Yeah.
And so before Pine Hare held it, well, it was first held by John Tamihere at the start of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was a Labour MP back then. And then I think it was, I'm just trying to think whether Willie Jackson might have held it for a term. And then Peter Sharples, and then Pine Hare. So it's kind of gone backwards and forwards, and we're now starting to inevitably think about who might stand for Te Pāti Māori, who might replace Tarsh Kemp for them, or whether Labour's going to put up Pine Hare or even Willie Jackson, and it's going to be, I think, a close fight with people thinking about the legacy of Tarsh Kemp as they make their decisions.
Certainly big shoes to fill, and it will be interesting to see the response from the electorate to this. Bryce, thank you so much for your input and, an extra chat this week. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.